Welcome on today's conversation on the future of work, where AI isn't just a buzzword, but a business driver. This is Lenovo Work Reborn, live in Orlando. Hey Abhishek, hi. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast today. How are you doing?
I am doing just fine, Rita. Thank you so much for inviting me to the podcast.
It's really exciting to talk to you today because we've spoken to many leaders in the cybersecurity, IT space, and more about how we're bringing new life to the modern workplace. And if you've been at this conference for as many days as I have, one of those things is AI, right?
Absolutely.
So, what have been some things that throughout this week at this conference that have stood out to you? Is AI that topic that stood out the most?
That is correct, Rita. So it's everywhere. It's not stood out. That is the only topic which
That is
no
the
matter
only
in
topic.
that is the only topic in whatever session you're going, in whatever companies you're interacting with. That's the topic where people are talking about AI, people are talking about the ethical use of AI. I myself, I'm working as a catalyst for global ethical AI adoption. Okay, so AI is
It's everywhere.
everywhere. But one thing which we have to understand very clearly that AI is still a tool, okay, which is there to help simplify your work, help make your work more efficient. Okay, AI, is AI is still not human, right? AI is as good as the data that you are feeding into that one. So what data you are feeding, what is how you are ensuring that data is being read correctly into AI, all that hallucinations and everything otherwise will keep happening. The AI biasing will happen. So my simple message is that as long as we are understanding and remembering that it's a tool, if we use that and for like and that goes with any tool, if you use that correctly, it can be a best use of for the human generation, I would
Right.
say.
Well, before we dive deeper into the conversation, I did have a fun icebreaker question for us to
Hmm.
kind of bring in this AI topic into a different lens. And as we've talked about, off camera, Lenovo is a partner with FIFA this year.
Right.
And you're telling me, you have two little boys who are probably going to be the next Messi and David Beckham and whoever,
if
right?
they if they become if they become even 1% of that, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But yes.
Well, let's pretend that your IT team is a football team, okay?
Oh,
So
okay.
if your IT workforce were a football team, what position would AI play? Goalkeeper, striker, or coach? Goalkeeper is like defense and security, striker could be innovation, and coach is that strategy.
I would say the striker, is the right thing, because again, innovation is something, or the strategy is something what still human is, human in the loop has to think, the right guidance, the right innovation, the right strategy that needs to bring in, and then use AI as a tool, as a mechanism to strike the ball or the soccer ball to the
Right.
goal. Okay,
Right.
so we don't have to do that. Let AI to do that for us, but at the same time we cannot shirk away from our responsibility of using that player correctly so that we can get as many goals as possible.
And the striker isn't the coach, so somebody's still managing and creating that game plan.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, that is really insightful. And I feel that, while it can do those positive goals, there's still risk. Just like a player could get hurt or something could go wrong with the striker, something can go wrong with AI. And, when we talk about risk, we're talking about that cybersecurity risk.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, why do you think leaders and across IT and security are all aligned across the C suite that, yes, as much as it can do well, there is a concern around the heightened risk from the cybersecurity lens?
I'll take a step back from there.
Yeah, go for
Okay,
it.
so whenever you talk about risk, there is risk in doing anything and everything. Okay, I'm getting into a plane. Is there a risk? Of course, there's a risk. Okay, I'm walking here, I can trip. Okay, similar thing. Again, as I said, as long as you are remembering that one thing every time, that AI is a tool, and the tool can make mistakes if you're not using it right. Okay, are you? So it's all about, there are few things which you have to ensure, that, and that's my thought, that how you are making sure your data is protected in a way that that AI is only taking the data that is needed for doing the right work, right job, and everything. So if there is any kind of trust layer that you have created, any kind of governance layer which you have created, what are the role based access permissions and everything that you have created, to make sure your AI is also one of your team member. Like for the team member, you create the right data governance framework. For the team member, you create the right role based access control. In the similar way, just consider AI as an agent for whom you have to put the right governance frameworks, right policies, right procedures to do the right function. And then they will do what they are supposed to do and what do you want them to do much faster, much efficiently. So yeah, there is a risk, but there will always be a risk. Anything that you do, and especially AI being such a, I will not say it's a new thing. AI has been existing with us from 1955. Okay, as you know, the first ever AI discussion that happened, and it is there since 1955. So it's not a new thing. It's just that when AI started talking to us like human beings after the coming of ChatGPT and OpenAI and everything in 2022, and then we are even over with that generative AI phase. Now we are getting into the agentic AI phase where we are now saying that agents are going to do the job for us. So let agent to do the job for you, define them, consider them as your employee,
Right.
as your virtual employee who is doing the job. Just put the right governance framework, put the right permissions and everything, let them do the job, they will do it.
Diving more into that cybersecurity, like, wouldn't it be cool if we had a cybersecurity threat like crystal ball in our workplace to like see what was going on before it even happened? And what's funny is, according to our Work Reborn research, we found that nearly 2/3 of our respondents said that their digital workplace disruptions were detected automatically, but they weren't predicted by like an AI or a tool, something like that. But notably, only 16% of IT organizations currently from the pool that we've surveyed can actually say that they are able to predict the disruptions before they even happen. So, what would having that crystal ball like prediction mean for your IT employees' productivity?
So see, again, the predictions AI is able to do only when you are able to supply the right data to them. So why only 60% are able to do that? Even 60% is a higher number.
Mm.
I'll still challenge that also, that number
Yeah.
also. Okay,
Yeah.
that the foundational data itself is so messy right now, where I'm talking to so many large CIOs, large organizations and everybody. The foundational data itself is so messy that if your data is not even ready to give it to the AI, how AI will even predict the right thing? How AI is predicting? AI is predicting based on historical data, all the different data sources that you're giving, all the previous things, what has happened, and based on that, it is predicting things for you. But if that data itself is not given in the right way, if the data is not sufficient, the predictions also will be like that. You cannot expect that AI will give me 100% accuracy from day one. No, I
It's
mean,
just like you're an employee
it's
from
an
day
employee,
one.
exact
You
employee.
wouldn't expect
Yeah,
that of them from
yeah,
day
yeah.
one.
It's
Yeah.
just like, of course, AI will learn much more faster than the employee because it has great processing power and everything. But in order for AI to process, you have to give the right amount of data, the right set of data, which is challenging in this way. I've been talking to so many healthcare organizations. I've been talking to so many financial organizations. They are all generating tons and tons of data, unstructured data coming from sources like wearables, data coming from EHR, EMRs, data coming from treatment data, discharge history data that is in PDF, data that is in text file. How you process all the data, first of all, to even, let's say, for example, seeing your patient in a 360-degree view. Not many healthcare companies are able to do that yet. Okay. So now, if you want AI to predict, my AI should predict high risk patient. How AI will predict that if AI does not have all the data to do such thing? So
Right.
it's, I would say, first of all, the data part is important, okay, for any AI to do or getting much better in the prediction part.
So
Okay.
I'm also hearing from you, like, for a leader that's listening, the patience is important as well, because you can't just try whatever it is one time and then expect it to work perfectly.
No.
But I think a lot of leaders might be feeling that way, like, oh, we tried it. We tried it last year, but like from last year to next year, it's completely
It's
different,
completely
right?
different.
What about in your organization? Like, have you noticed that? Like, how have you guys been implementing to keep moving forward?
So so first thing first, you have to, what you are doing, you have to take that use case. Okay, I will always pick up a use case and a problem statement. So there is a problem, and there is a use case which is solving that problem, which is giving a tangible outcome. Okay, it can be 70% accurate to start with. It can be, then it can go to 80%. So you have to keep doing that over and over and over again. So what you need to work with your delivery team or your center of excellence team, that how you can make those deliveries or implementations repeatable and scalable. Okay, because you cannot say that, oh, I did this last year, I didn't get a great result, let's move to the next thing.
Well, it's like in FIFA. Like
It's
we
like,
lost the game last year. We shouldn't play anymore.
we shouldn't play there you go.
Like what would that be like, right?
You just answered the question so nicely. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to just keep doing over and over and again. You have to keep analyzing your past mistakes again. That same thing which you are also feeding into the AI. What was the past mistakes? What were the lessons learned? What we can do better in, in our processes? What we can do better with our data to make it better every day. And
Right.
that's where, as you keep doing it over and over and over again, it's basically productizing of your use cases. I'm not telling everybody to become a product company. Again, product company is a whole different ballgame altogether. But how you can take a use case, productize that use case so that you can keep implementing that in a repeatable fashion for client A to client B to the client C who are having similar problem statements. You go to client D, you said, see, I have implemented the same solution with the similar problem statements to client A, B, and C, and your problem is the same. Let's do this. And
Right.
I will keep getting better every implementation I do it.
Abhishek, I really enjoyed this conversation with you.
Thank you.
To round out, I just want to ask one final question, which
Uh-huh.
is, in your personal opinion, what do you think work reborn means to you? It's like the future of work. What do you think that means to you?
The future of work is very unpredictable at this point of time.
Right.
That's what I would say. Okay,
Yeah.
because whenever I ask that question and I think of my kids, who will be passing out from college, I don't know if that college degree also will have a value in this era or just a digital badge. Skill based degrees will be more prominent at that time. I don't even know. I mean,
Right.
to be honest, the way things are changing, okay, I don't know if you have heard some of the discussions. They're saying that the college degree will no longer hold the value, okay, what a digital badge of a particular skill will hold.
Yeah.
Okay, again,
I feel, it could be that way, right?
it could be that way because people are looking for how you are going to be productive on day one for me, what you can do for me today. Even if you have a great bachelor's degree, you have a great master's degree, okay, that's great to for putting that on my shelf, okay,
Right.
the degree which you can frame it, but you are
Where's your
not beneficial for
skills?
me. But what are your skills?
Yes.
Can you do this AI programming for me? Can you do this AI engineering for me? Can you handle this AI bot for me?
Right.
Can you do something with my agentic AI model where I am able to do something meaningful which is improving my revenue? As a director of IT solutions, I am also looking, similar skills from my talent team to give me what you can help me on day one.
Right.
You could be a great bachelor's degree, you could have a great master's degree. Okay, great
Yeah.
skills. So if you'll ask me again, just to repeat that same part, I don't know. I mean,
Maybe
it's
next year
very
we'll have to do the
unpredictable.
podcast again and I'll have to see what
You'll
we
have to
learned. We'll
exactly.
see where we're at by
You'll see
then.
exactly. But
Yeah.
college degrees are getting obsolete. That's something which I
Yeah.
can at least sense. I'm sure the kids who are already in the college and the going to college, they will definitely be ready to throw
I do
something at
hope that
me.
doctors still continue to go to college, though. That would be a little problematic if they didn't.
If what if the AI is already starting doing
Oh,
the
now we're
diagnosis?
getting, we're getting a little out there with the conversation, Abhishek. All
But
right.
yes.
Well, I really appreciate the time that you've taken to come by the booth here and talk about your perspective. If anyone is interested in learning more about the Work Reborn insights and the research report, download it. It is in the link in the description below if you're listening to us. And if you're watching us on YouTube, a QR code has magically just appeared on the screen. Make sure you scan it and grab a copy of that report for yourself. And that's a wrap for our episode today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us live in Orlando for this amazing episode of Work Reborn. I've been your host, Rita Risha, and it's been a pleasure to bring you insightful conversations from around the world, especially at this event, on how we are bringing new life to the modern workplace. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to stay tuned on more ways that we are doing just that, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe our channel, and download a copy of the Work Reborn report today.
Lenovo.